right. Well, welcome everyone. My name is Colleen Carswell. I'm the owner at Structured to Scale. And today we're going to be talking about time economics, how you can work smarter and not harder. And I love that Nate just spoke on money because that's where this stemmed from. So you heard a couple times today that time is money, money is time, but we're not actually treating it that way, right? When we think about money, Nate just gave a great example, cash flow projections. I saw a few hands go up. We have bookkeepers, we have accountants, we have expense tracking, budgets, forecasts, right? We have all these ways to capture our data around money, but we don't have any of that for our time, right? We don't have a way to track it. We don't have a way to categorize it. We don't have a way to budget it. They exist, these tools exist, we're just not using them. So that's what we're going to talk about today. I hear a lot, people, and you might agree that you've said this in the past, but you'll say, I just don't have time for that. Right? I just don't have time for that really high priority thing. I don't have time for it, so you just carry on with your day. Could you say that about money? I just don't have time or money to pay my people. Couldn't do it. I just don't have the money to pay my taxes. I don't have the money to get the inventory. You can't do that. You'd have to find the money, and you have data that exists because of all these ways to be able to help you find the money. So we need to be able to have the same thing for our time. We're going to talk about the 5 principles of time economics. Principle number 1 is all about time audits. And I know that doesn't sound super fun or super sexy, and it's not, but it's necessary. Bookkeeping, not super fun for most of us. Paying taxes, accounting, not super fun, but we still do it because our business deserves it and needs it, right? So the same thing for a time audit. And how a time audit works is you're tracking your time in 15-minute increments, which I know, not fun, but you're only doing it for 10 days. And you're taking as much information and getting as much details as you possibly can, because then you're going to be able to look back on that and see the data and make data-driven, informed decisions, because you cannot manage what you do not measure. When I start working with people as their fractional COO, that's the very first thing we do. Before we do anything else, I do a time audit with the owners, with the managers, with the team, because I cannot fully optimize or make more productive or make things more efficient if I don't actually know where your time is going in the first place. A lot of us will say, I want to be more productive, or I want to work more optimally. I want to be more efficient. But if you don't even know where your time's going, you cannot manage what you do not measure. Time principle number 2 is value-based allocation. So you know when you go on Google and you're searching for a restaurant, and typically you'll see like a $1 sign, 2, 3, or 4. That's all this is, right? You're just putting money to your time. You're wanting to make sure that you as owners, as managers, are working in high-value activities and not in lower-value activities. So we're going to do an activity here in a moment where we're going to go through and we're going to rank high to low. High-value tasks for most of you in this room are going to be things like directly driving revenue, things that are a little bit more strategic. They're leveraging your unique skills and expertise, whereas lower-value tasks are things that are a little bit more repetitive, things that maybe are more administrative, things that can be automated, things that you could teach and train entry-level staff on doing. So we're going to have a little participation moment. If you're here with me in the room, you're going to give me your dollar signs as 1, 2, 3, or 4. I'm going to put an example on the screen, and you're going to tell me to you how much you would rank that. And I say to you very specifically, a lot of times when I do this participation activity, people normally do like, they're hiding their hand because they're so worried they're going to get the answer wrong. But nobody else cares about your hand, and everybody else will have different answers. That's the point of it, right? So put your hand up high and proud. If you're here with me in the chat, then I'm going to have you just you've got it simple. You're just going to put a dollar sign, right? Dollar sign 2, 3, or 4. All right, so let's go ahead and give this a try. So the first one, I'm going to have you pause. I'm going to have you set this, processing customer transactions at the register, set it against high-value examples and low-value examples, and think about where that would fall for you. And then you're going to put your hand up here in a minute and give me a 1, 2, 3, or 4, all right? So I'm going to count down from 3, 3, 2, 1. Put your hand up high. All right, lots of 1s and 2s, a few 3s. Let's see, chat. I've got a few 2s and 3s. Okay. Awesome. Let's continue. So now we're going to do with handling customer service issues. We're going to pause, same as before. Think about it for you, for your position, for your unique skills, for your purpose in the business. And we're going to count down from 3, 2, 1. Put your hand up. Okay, 3s, 2s, 4s. All right, in the chat we've got some 2s, lots of 2s, 4, 3. Very good. Couple things to know about this, right? It might be part of your job, your role, that this is a high value task for you. You are tasked with doing that thing. So it might be higher value for you. The other issue with this is that there's no context, right? Some of you, when you think handling customer service issues, you immediately go to the worst case scenarios, right? Like the big things, like they're super mad and you've got to jump right in there and save the day before it goes all over online. Other of you might have just thought from the perspective and the lens of, oh, like a return, right? They're just coming in to make a return. So those are two different things. So when you're doing your time audit, that is why it is so important to put as much detail as possible, because this isn't going to tell you anything at the end of your 10 days. It's going to tell you a little bit, but it's not going to give you the full picture. All right, managing social media and online presence. So we're going to have to count it down. 3, 2, 1, 4, 3, lots of 3s, some 2s. We've got 4s, 3s, 4s in the chat. All right, again, it's very unique to you. It's unique to your position, and it's unique to your individual personality. Some people love social media. Who loves social media? Anybody? Few people? Okay, not a ton. It's so funny. We don't necessarily love it, but we have to do it, right? And some people like to do, like maybe you're the face of the brand, and you have to do talking to screen, and that's something that's required of you. That's a 4, whether you love to do it or not. That might be a 4 because you need to do it. But as you're tracking your time, you might actually notice, oh, I'm spending a lot of time editing video. We're not here to edit video, right? That may not necessarily be a higher value task. I don't know that would be a higher value task for anybody here, especially nowadays with AI, and there are tools, or you have people in your staff that you might be able to train on this. We're going to talk about delegating and eliminating and automating here in a moment, but that might be something that you can look at. You can still do certain components of social media if that's a high value task for you, but maybe not all the components. And last one, developing strategic partnerships with vendors. We're going to count it down. 3, 2, 1. A 5. All right, lots of 4s, lots of 3s. Very good. Same in the chat. All right, so that's what we mean by value-based allocation. When you get done with your time audit, you go back and you look and you assign a value to it. Next is time energetics, which is truthfully one of my absolute favorite topics. I talk a lot about time economics, obviously, and then also time energetics is a whole presentation of itself. So for today, I just want to bring in this element of time as an illusion. And before I dive into what that is, I want to share a little story. So many years ago, I was washing dishes, which is ironic, and I'll share with you why here in a minute, but I was washing dishes and I was listening to The Big Leap by Gay Hendricks. Has anybody ever read that book? Yeah? Okay, a few head nods. I don't see anybody in the chat yet. So I was listening to his book and I was vibing with it. I was really loving it. And then it got to this part that he starts talking about time as an illusion. And to me, I was just like, I'm not getting this. This doesn't make any sense. And I'll rewind with my soapy hands and play it again, or rewind and play it again. And it just didn't click. I didn't understand what he was trying to tell me, and I just kept listening to the book, right? Years later, I was listening to Dan Martell's book, Buy Back Your Time. Anybody read that book? No? Highly recommend. Yeah, one head. Highly recommend. It's a great book. And he starts talking about time as an illusion. I'm like, this man, he's a genius. I've never heard such a thing. And then I remembered that years before, I had heard it in this other book. He didn't say anything any differently. I was just in a different place to receive it. And that's a big part, in a nutshell, of what time energetics is, right? Sometimes you're in a place to receive it, and sometimes we're not. And that's okay if we're not today, but I'm going to share it anyway. So time as an illusion, I want you to think about personally, in your personal life, because that's just a little easier for us. I want you to think about things that you absolutely love. You love doing these things. And if you're in the chat, go ahead and drop those in there. But maybe it's things like hiking or cooking, right? For me, it's personally writing songs, reading. Amazing. And then I want you to think about things that you hate. You hate doing them. The last time I did this presentation, a lot of laundry came through, right? Everybody hates laundry. And I have a fun story about that here in a minute. But I want you to think about when you're doing the things that you absolutely love doing. Let's say you have an hour for each, right? An hour to do the thing you love and an hour to do the thing that you hate. And you're doing the thing that you love for an hour. Doesn't it feel like maybe 10 minutes? It flies by when you're doing things you love. Versus when you're doing things you hate, time drags on and on and on, right? An hour could feel like 10 hours, depending on how much you hate doing that thing. And that's the concept of time is an illusion. All right. So when you think about this, we talked about ranking high to low with your value allocation. We've talked about energetics. And when you think about your business, when I talked about laundry a minute ago, it was really interesting because we were going around the room, we had a little bit more time, so we were doing a lot more participation, and people were saying laundry, they hate laundry, they hate laundry, and then we started talking about the things we love, and somebody said laundry, right? And I think that's such a great example of how you can build out your teams, because we get in our perspective and our own lens of thinking, well, surely if I hate it, everybody else hates it. But that's not true, right? I hate bookkeeping, but there are bookkeepers who love to do bookkeeping, right? And so we get to build out our teams in that way. Things that absolutely drain you fuel others, and we can build that puzzle in that way. All right, principle number 4, I want you to start thinking about time as an investment. We always hear we have to spend money to make money, right? The same is true with your time. You have to invest your time to make time. Time can be categorized in 3 different ways. You either waste it, you spend it, or you invest it. Today we're going to talk about investing your time. And a really good example of this is hiring. I work with a lot of retailers. Y'all are always hiring, right? And I hire too, and sometimes it doesn't feel so great because I know that I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time during that first 30, 60, 90 days doing the onboarding. It's gonna be a lot of my time that I'm investing into these new people, but I'm investing it understanding that the more supportive of an environment I can build for them to come into, down the road, that frees up all the time of the whole reason that I hired them in the first place, right? So that's what I mean by adapt and ROI type of thinking. When you're doing this, sometimes you might find yourself in lower value territory because you're showing them the tasks, the repetitive things that they're going to be doing for you. So just be thinking about, is this an investment of my time? And if it is, then it's worth it. And then the last principle of time economics is all about delegation and automation, and what's not on this screen is also elimination. So when we're comparing this to money, it's things like loans and credit, right? You're creating that leverage. So when you get to the end of your time audit, you're going to look back and you're going to look at the data and you're going to say, okay, what's this data trying to tell me? Are there patterns that are emerging? Are there inefficiencies that are existing? Are there ways to do things better? And you're just going to let the data talk to you, right? And then you're going to figure out, oh, what can I delegate? What can I eliminate? And what can I automate? And that automate is a huge one these days, right? Because AI. There are so many tools that are constantly coming up that we can start tapping into. There are ways to automate now that never ever existed in somebody's mind 5, 10 years ago, right? And so maybe you get to the end of your time audit and you realize that you need to really focus on your streamlining, your ordering, and your inventory. And this was shared earlier, right, at Faire. Maybe you need to explore easy order building tools. Maybe you need to look at point of sales integrations. What things are taking a lot of your time? What things need to be more optimized? What things can be running more efficiently? Maybe you need to explore how you're buying for your stores and your teams. This is all data-driven information now, because lots of times what happens is people have a gut knowing. Like you know you need to focus on a thing, but you don't actually have it visibly in front of your face, so you can ignore it. And we do. We ignore it. So this time audit allows you to see the things that you knew in your gut needed fixed, but now you can't ignore it. Now you need to put your attention into it. Let's go over a few time tools. I want to say this up front. There are tons of time tools, right? I'm only going to cover 3. There are many, many, many more. First, I want to talk about time buckets, and it's ironic because Nate was talking about buckets too, right? So time buckets are where you go and you categorize, like we were talking about money, you categorize similar activities. So let's say you do a lot of marketing in your job. So you start filling your bucket with things like website design and social media and email marketing, PR, SEO, paid ads, right? If that bucket starts to get too heavy, that bucket would be too heavy. Separate it out. If you do a lot of marketing in your position, then maybe you have one just for online presence and just for email marketing, right? But the point of time buckets is to start to decrease your context switch. Does anybody ever heard that term? Yeah, context switching, yeah. So as an example, you're really like a creative, vibey space and you're writing out your emails for your email campaign that goes out tomorrow, right? So you're writing your emails and like it's just flowing out of you, and all of a sudden you get a little notification in the top corner of your screen and it says invoice due, right? And that invoice due, you don't want to forget about it. So you're like, oh, I'll take 5 minutes, I'll just go pay that right now. It'll be quick, even though it's not due for 2 weeks, I'm just gonna go do that real quick. And you come over here and you pay that invoice real quick, and then you get like sucked into other rabbit holes in the financial land and you have to pay more invoices and you go down this weird and windy path, and then eventually you make your way back to this email, but your energy is different It's not vibing, but you got to get it done because it's due tomorrow, right? That context switch, that's what we're trying to decrease with time buckets. We can also decrease that context switch with theme days. So theme days are things like Marketing Monday or Financial Friday. But I say those very specifically because alliteration is not required. In fact, I encourage you not to try to make them alliteration, right? I love alliteration. My name is Colleen Carswell, so it's CC. My husband's a CC. Our 4 children are CCs. Our dog is a CC, and my mother-in-law is a CC. So when I tell you don't do alliteration, that's saying something, all right? But I don't want you to focus on the alliteration part. I want you to focus on what's actually serving you. Because sometimes I'll see people like, Winning Wednesday. I don't know what that is, right? So I want you to focus on the thing that you actually need to be doing that day. The other misconception is that theme days have to stay the same every single week. And if you do that alliteration piece, you kind of do that automatically. They don't need to stay the same every week. Through years of reflection, I actually realized, looking back, I'm like, I'm highly impacted by the weather, right? My energy, the things that I do, the way I do them, it's highly impacted by the weather. So actually now, I look at the week ahead when I'm planning and I say, what's the weather going to be like? And I draw little sunshines or little clouds or rain or whatever, because I know those days that are going to be gloomy and rainy, I'm going to do different tasks than the days that are going to be bright and sunny and warm, right? That's more creative energy for me. So those are your theme days. And then lastly, time blocking. And where I see people go wrong with this one a lot is that they time block like this. They say, all right, from 8:30 to 9, I'll do this. And from 9 until 10, I'll do this. And then 10 until 10:15, I'll do this. 10:15 to 11, I'll do this. Right? It's back to back to back. Where is there time to go to the bathroom, to eat, to allow for those unexpected opportunities that arrive, maybe a new vendor, new partnership, or those unexpected emergencies that you need to handle? Right? There's no time. So people get to the end of their day and they're disappointed and they're feeling defeated because they had all these ambitious things that they were going to do and they didn't get to do them all. It's just because you didn't time block appropriately. And when I say appropriately, I mean put some white space in there, put some buffer space in there. And this is going to look different for every single person. For me personally, through years of doing this, I've realized my sweet spot is an hour and a half of buffer room every single day, hour and a half of white space. For other clients, it's 30 minutes. For many of you, because you might have customers walking into the shop, you might have even more white space that you need to put in your day. So this is unique to every single person, but if you attempt to do the time blocking, just know that you need to have white space included in there. This is the main thing that I want you to know though, and this is why I don't go over all the time tools. Not everything is gonna be the right fit for you, and that's okay. I want you to try it. I want you to take what works and leave the rest, including self-judgment. Because a lot of times people are led to believe by certain people in this space that it worked for this person, so surely it must work for me, and it's not working for me, so what's wrong with me, right? There's a lot of self-judgment. It's not working for you because you're not them. Some of these might not work for you. All of these might not work for you, or all of these might work for you. Because we're each individuals, we're each unique, we have different wiring. If you have ADHD, there are going to be certain tools that work really, really well for you, and certain tools that really, really don't, right? So that's what I mean by this, and I think this is probably one of the biggest things that you can take away from this. I don't want you not to try it though, right? If you're like, time blocking is not going to work for me, give it a go, because that gives you data. It gives you information. Why didn't it work for you? Because then you get to follow that path. Like if something did work for you, great, I'm going to follow it this way because I know more information about myself and the time tools that I need. I can do a deeper Google search or a deeper AI search. Same for if it doesn't work for you, right? Clarity tools. So when it comes to time tools, those are the ones that I say there's some flex and flow there. Use what's best for you. When it comes to clarity tools, everybody use these because these are going to really help you propel your business. First, we have your wrap-up. I do my wrap-up, which stands for weekly reflection and planning session at the end of the week. That works best for me. I know a few people who it works good for at the beginning of the week, but most people it's going to be best for the end of the week. The reason for me that I like it at the end of the week is because it allows me just to dump everything out of my head and put it onto paper and not have to worry about it on my days off. I know it has a place to go, right? So at the end of your week, you're going to look back at the week that was and you're going to reflect on it. That's it, just a simple reflection activity of what worked well, what didn't, what felt really good in my body, what didn't, what patterns are emerging, what things do I want to keep the same next week or maybe change up next week. It's a dedicated strategic time to have that really intense reflection period. And same thing for planning. You look at the week ahead, and that's when I do my little rain clouds and sunshines, right? I look at the week ahead, what's coming up, What appointments do I have? Get those on the calendars. What are my weekly goals that I want to focus on that are higher value tasks? Because there's going to be times that you live in a lower value task area, but you want to make sure that you're allocating time to live in those higher value times as well. So that's what a wrap-up session is. This next one, and that takes about 30 to 60 minutes, which for some people it's like, where am I going to find 30, 60 minutes a day, right? Or a week, not a day, a week. You're going to want to make time for this because this is going to allow you to really scale your business. The other one is super easy. This is probably my favorite hack. So if you do nothing from today, like just do this one because you're going to find some really good results from it. It's 5 minutes a day and you're doing your daily 4 W's. This can be done in the shower. You can do it while you are making breakfast, while you're sitting in your car line at school. Like you can do it anywhere. Just sometime before the day begins, you're going to go through your 4 W's. And you're always going to start with your win because it's really easy, especially as entrepreneurs, just to be hard on ourselves and to recognize the negative. So we're going to start with the win. What's my one win from yesterday? And then do a little celebration, right? And what's my will? What will I get done today, no matter what, right? And you're going to learn over time. Sometimes people at the beginning of this have very ambitious goals. You might not get to be able to do those, but just reflect on that and be like, oh, I took on too much that day, right? So what will you get done today, no matter what? And then your won't. What I mean by this is maybe last night you went to bed at a decent time, right? It was 9 o'clock, real decent time. And then your phone started to glow, and you picked your phone up, and you started to scroll, and then before you know it, it's midnight, and it's no longer a decent time, right? So today, I won't scroll my phone at night. Super simple, right? It's something that moves you further away from your goals, or it's something you're not super proud of. And then white space, we've already talked about white space, right? So 4 W's every day, just take 5 minutes, I promise you it will change everything. Now for some practical tools. If you don't already have a planner, many of you might already have planners, but if you don't already have a planner, I'm a kind of a digital and a tangible person. I love a paper planner. This has been, I've tried them all. I'm sure many of us in here have tried a lot of planners, but this one's my absolute favorite because it mirrors this system so well, right? It allows you to set yourself up for the week, to reflect on the week, to plan for the week, to look at your quarterly goals. It just kind of walks you through that really nicely instead of just being paper where you can write down what you're doing that day. It actually allows you to go through this system. Active inbox. If anybody has Gmail, this one I love. So when I was talking about earlier that I can throw things onto Friday, so like that invoice notification came up. For me, I use Active Inbox because it turns my inbox into a project management system. So I just put it onto Friday. I have different days that you can pop it onto. You can put it into different buckets, into different theme days. So it's a really great tool if you have Gmail. A timer, I just think it's a great tool to have. Try not to have it on your phone. With kids, my kids really like the hourglass because they can visually see, like, don't bother mom, right? Same for your team. If you have a little hourglass, like, don't bother me until this has gone all the way through, right? Or they have those little ones that you can like turn on the side. It's like 15 minutes, 30 minutes, and then it will beep at you. But it's something that's not on your phone, so you can have some really dedicated focus time. And then tech. This isn't all of them by any stretch of the imagination. Like, there is so much tech. So when you're doing your time audit, I want you to think about that, right? If you start to see things emerge as inefficient, just go and search an app. Like, there is an app for literally everything now. If there's any question, go search. You will find hundreds of apps for the thing that you need. We're just not always conditioned to search for the apps, right? Forest app is great. I like it. It's a productivity tool. It helps you grow a tree. It's fun. And then Groove, especially for my ADHD folks, it allows for like a body doubling experience. So you say, here's what I'm working on for this next hour. They say what they're working on for the next hour. You work on the things for the next hour, and then you come back and you say, I did the thing, right? So that works really well for that. And then also, I have, as a thank you gift, the Time Freedom Challenge. If you go to this QR code, if you are in the chat, it's structured with the D to scale /TFC for Time Freedom Challenge. What this is it deconstructs the time audit for you. So like if you're like, yeah, cool, time audits sound great, I'm still not 100% clear how to do that, or like that time energetics piece was a little interesting, but I want to dive deeper into that. This Time Freedom Challenge goes through that with you. So it's a 10-day challenge where every day you get an email in the morning. It's 15 minutes a day that you would have to spend extra tracking your time during the reflection prompt, and it walks you through all of it. So if time audits seem a little bit intimidating and you don't know where to start, this is a really great place to do that. So all right, that is all I have for today. Thank you so much for both your time and energy, and I will see you around. Let me know if you have any questions when I'm around here, all right? Thank you.